Mathew and editorial fatigue. This is something that was noticed by a scholar today. His name is Mark Goodacre, and he dubbed it editorial fatigue. So editorial fatigue is when an author is looking at a text that he's copying, and he changes a detail in a narrative, and later on he forgets the detail that he changed and goes back to copying the narrative from his source. So the two are not harmonious anymore. So he creates like a problem. It's called editorial fatigue. So a good example of this would be like the calming of the storm in the Gospel of Mark and the Gospel of Matthew. In the Gospel of Mark, it's literally a wind, a strong wind, like like a typhoon or whatever, that causes the the boat to rock back and forth and them to almost be submerged. And Jesus gets up and he calms it. In Matthew, Matthew has a very like strong affinity for the word seismos, for earthquakes. He has a lot of earthquakes in his gospel. So he changes the wording of Mark, where he has the word wind, and he changes it to earthquake, And then towards the end, when Mark starts talking about how the wind was stilled, remember Matthew doesn't have wind anymore because he changed it to an earthquake. He goes back to saying that that the wind was stilled, because he forgot the little editorial editorial gloss that he made. Another example would be the killing of John the Baptist by Herod. In Mark, Herod doesn't want to kill John the Baptist. He's only forced to because his daughter came dancing, and he promised her that she can choose anything she wants. And his wife tells her, "Hey, tell him I want John the Baptist's head on a plate." And so he says, "Oh," and it grieved him to his heart. But he says, "Now I have to. Everybody's looking at me. I have to fulfill this." But he didn't want to kill him. In fact, Mark says that Herod liked John the Baptist. He thought he was a righteous man and that he loved to listen to him, that he was very interesting. Matthew's account has Herod as the same wording, the same Greek wording, but in the beginning he says that he wanted to kill Herod. He wanted to kill Herod, but he feared the crowds because they took him for a prophet. So he changed the intention. Whereas in Mark, he actually liked John the Baptist. Matthew changed the beginning to say that he actually wanted to kill John the Baptist, but he only feared the crowds because they thought he was a prophet. And then at the end, where Herodias' daughter comes dancing, and there's a textual variant there too about the name of Herodias, but and she says, "I want John the Baptist's head on a plate." He reverts back to Mark's reading. It says it grieved him to his heart, like, grieved him he didn't want to do it. But in the beginning, it says he did want to do it. So that's called editorial fatigue. And there are many examples of this, where the author forgets his edits, and he reverts back to the wording of his source, and they create problems. So that also lessens the linguistic power of these texts. Okay.